Thank you for watching this Principals Update. This time we're focusing on international affairs. And I think all members of the Queen Mary community are well aware of how much importance we attach to the fact we are an international community here in London, but also we have many connections in research and education across the world. But all of this activity needs focus and strategy, and that's why we've developed the international strategy, which has been recently launched. I'm joined by David Sadler, the Vice Principal for International Affairs. David, give us the headlines for this new international strategy.
So we've been focusing on realising the ambitions we had in our overall strategy for some time now, working as a group with a whole range of people to decide how best to operationalise the key targets we had in terms of growing our student numbers, expanding our transnational activity overseas, and making real the effect of our international presence on campus, and really growing the effect of our diversity on campus so the student experience is enhanced.
And now, David, can you give us some examples of the challenges that this new strategy is designed to address?
Yeah, I think there's a number of challenges, actually. So we are, of course, strong in international student recruitment. We shouldn't be complacent. There are many, many challenges out there in the work we do in recruiting students from around the world. But it's been one of our strengths, and we're happily continuing to be strong in that area. Part of the vision for the international strategy is actually about outward mobility. It's students who are on campus, be they from the UK or from other parts of the world, having the chance to get some experience overseas. And we have some high targets in that area, and we're at the moment perhaps not so far advanced in our thinking. So we plan to have a work group to work on this area, a task group to work on this area over the course of the next few months.
Great. And can you give us some examples of new initiatives or new discussions which are beginning to address the outward mobility issue, but also other related international issues?
So I think we're getting very good now at our partnership development work. We've got a network of established partnerships, particularly in China, for example, but increasingly we're establishing our presence around the world in other forms of partnership, often driven by the schools themselves. So these are the best partnerships, the ones that start from a school-to-school collaboration or connection in a research area or a past connection. For example, just in the last couple of weeks, I've been with a delegation from Queen Mary of heads of schools in Pakistan and Bangladesh. We were partly working on developing our reputation in the recruitment market. It's the season for recruitment fairs, for example, in those two countries at the moment. We've been raising our reputation in those two countries. But also we've been in conversation with perhaps 14 or 15 different universities across those two countries, where there are the beginnings of small-scale partnerships with research at the core, with student exchange at the core, with mobility in both directions as part of what we might do in the future.
And speaking, David, of recent developments, of course, we recently celebrated the official launch of our Confucius Institute with the Shanghai University of Finance and Economics. And I was impressed at that launch event by the enthusiasm of our new partners who were visiting London. Their enthusiasm not only for the institute itself, but for a whole range of educational and research collaborations. Give us an idea from your perspective as to how important that new institute is going to be for Queen Mary and our international strategy.
Yes, I think it's a really good example of a way in which a small-scale partnership can grow and develop, become something quite deep and meaningful. So this began quite a long time ago as a conversation. We explored with Shanghai University of Finance and Economics a range of forms of collaboration. And it's a great achievement for us as an institution to have a Confucius Institute. For us not to have one, in fact, put it the other way around. As a university with such deep partnerships in China, to not have a Confucius partnership as a surprise. So to have that established now up and running is a great achievement. And building on that, it's the perfect combination of two universities in the same area of research, with strength in the same area of research, and two locations that match. So Shanghai, London, global financial centres, the opportunity to do research that really matters and makes a difference to the world of global finance is I think, going to be a distinctive hallmark of our Confucius Institute.
Now, David, with this international strategy now in place, we clearly have a framework for activity and objectives for the institution. How do you see this translating into activity for individuals at the school and the institute level?
So I think there's a range of ways in which individuals can get involved. One of the most fundamental of those is that we have very ambitious targets of recruitment for international students, and that is a work of all of us across the campus. So being involved in the work of recruitment is a very important part for all of us to make clear to applicants, potential applicants, the quality of our programs, the quality of our offer, and that's important and an ongoing part of what we do. I think secondly, we've, in the last few weeks, had a delegation visiting Pakistan and Bangladesh, and it was very clear there that the value of a small group of people, colleagues from QMUL, visiting the countries involved, a benefit greater than some of the parts almost of individuals travelling separately. So we're planning the same thing again in Southeast Asia in April, to visit 4 countries in Southeast Asia, 4 countries that we see as potential target markets for partnerships, for recruitment, for development of the market in the future. There's an invitation already out there with heads of schools to see if they want to identify colleagues with an interest in those regions that can actually help form part of a small delegation to those territories.
David, we speak a lot about our interactions both in research and education terms with institutes and colleagues in East Asia and South Asia. Does that define our reach, or is our international reach broader than that?
I think it's a really good question. It's much broader than that. I mean, we're clearly well known now as a university with a strong presence in China in particular, with a growing presence in South Asia. But that shouldn't underestimate the whole range of things that we do elsewhere in the world. So we are, in fact, relaunching the country interest groups as regional interest groups in the next few weeks. And the idea there is to involve colleagues with particular interest in particular parts of the world, such as, for example, Latin America, where we have an ongoing and very active presence for the work of People's Palace projects. Very high-profile work in Brazil, for example, which is indicative of our strength in research and our collaborations in Latin America.
David, you've been with us for just over a year now. Would you like to reflect on your feelings after a year, hopefully positive, about where we are as an institution, as an international university, what our major objectives should be in the coming years?
Yeah, it's been a very exciting and diverse year. And it's clear that Queen Mary's Institution is one that has a strong presence in research terms around the world. And clearly, not just the REF results, but more generally, our research standing is very evident wherever I go in the world on behalf of the institution. I think my strong perception would be twofold, really. One is that we are very well known for some of the things that we do internationally. We're very well known for our work in transnational education. The work that we do in China with our partners in China and elsewhere in the world in the future gives us a very strong reputation as being pioneers in different and diverse forms of transnational activity. So we're not known for one model of transnational activity, we're known for our diversity, different kind of things that we do, and that's I think, a real strength. We're known, as I said, also for our research strength, our research power, the things that we do across a whole range of things in our different spheres of activity. But I think it is fair to say that our reputation is probably not quite as advanced as it could be, so I think our reputation probably lags where we really are in research terms and in terms of the standing of the institution. So one of the things that I think we need to be prioritising more is developing and enhancing our reputation in the future.
So that sounds like a very strong base for international activity, but by no means an argument for complacency in terms of our international affairs.
You're absolutely right. Our base is there in our research capacity and our research standing in the work that we do, and that's a fundamental base that draws us into conversations with universities around the world that wouldn't be talking to us without our research strength and our research position. Mm-hmm. It's building on that to further identify new partners, new partnerships, and opportunities that's the core of the future work.